Folks, welcome back to the channel. Today's video in the master bath remodel series, waterproof membrane. If you haven't watched the other video about the tiling, definitely check out those videos. I did cement backer board because I already had it. For this tiling, Schluter membrane is a little bit more expensive, but so simple compared to cement backer board when you have to work around the toilet flange, your PEX piping coming up for your vanity. This bathroom is not very large, and I am on a wide angle lens right now, so it looks a little bit funky. But this bathroom is just a hair over 9 feet long, about 5 feet 3 inches wide. It's very kind of a small master bathroom. But you can fit a lot in this space, except for a dual vanity. I could, but I'm doing a nice toilet and a freestanding tub, so I decided to go for a smaller vanity. Anyway, you didn't come here for that. You came here for the installation of the Schluter Ditra. Follow along in the series because I'm going to be showing you how to lay it down over OSB or wood subflooring, very similar to cement as well. And then come on back to the channel where we're gonna lay down some really nice hexagon tiles on top of this. Okay, this is 54 square feet, so hopefully this should be enough. It should be. I haven't done the mathematics, but again, it's a smaller bathroom. So first and foremost, what we need to do is we need to shop vac. I've already done it off camera, but if you haven't, take a paint scraper, take a putty knife, and scrape up any thin set from this tiling, any drywall mud that has landed on the subflooring. Scrape that up. We want a nice flat surface. And so since I've already scraped up the thin set and the drywall mud, I'm going to go back over it with a shop vac because I have done some sanding in between coats for my walls. I have one more coat to do on these side walls. This is Benjamin Moore Simply White. This is Benjamin Moore ceiling paint. So let's shop vac and we'll get started. Okay, shop vac this whole thing up. We're gonna remove the shop vac out of the bathroom. I'm gonna go ahead and roll out some pieces here and cut them to length just with regular scissors. You can use a utility knife. It's a really simple system. Obviously there will be a side-by-side line. This won't be a full piece. You can do a couple different things in this scenario. I'm going to do one long one all the way to the door here. And if you don't feel like cutting one down, which I think would actually be a little bit easier, you don't have to do that. You could do smaller sections up against the wall going this way, and then this one going all the way this way. Just for kicks and giggles, what I'm probably going to do, I might actually do that just because all of my toilet flange, my toilet pipe, my vanity pipe, which I don't think you can see right here, and my freestanding tub, that's going to be a little trickier with one long piece. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do one long one this way, and then I'm going to do the width ones cut down to size, start obviously back here after the first one, and then thin set and float that one, because after I thin set and float this, I can walk on it, and then I'm going to put a board down for my knees when I go to thin set this area here, so my knees don't embed into the membrane, and thin set while it dries. Worst case scenario, as you back up, just float it a little bit more, but I'm going to try to work smarter, not harder. Okay. After we cut the pieces to length and dry fit them, then we will use a damp sponge and we're going to go ahead and clean up all the OSB subflooring for any dust. And you don't have to let it dry. You actually can apply the thin set right on top. If it is still damp, don't do it soaking wet. Don't do it wet. Do a nice damp sponge. I got my bucket of water out here. Let's go ahead and begin.
Folks, we're going to get right back to the video, but I want to thank today's sponsor, which is Ridge. Ridge is having their Father's Day sale right now, and you can get up to 40% off with the Father's Day sale until June 15th. Use my direct link in the description box below of this video and take advantage of their Father's Day sale. They do have their Basecamp Orange minimalistic wallet back in stock, not to mention the Basecamp Orange pin and the Basecamp Orange key case. This set is definitely nice, and I'm looking forward to putting this in use. Now, Ridge is mostly known for their minimalistic wallets, but don't let that stop you there. Ridge now offers rings, high elegant rings for elegant nights out, for something a little sleeker, carbon fiber, and they also offer so many more different styles in their minimalist minimalistic wallets. You can get whatever style and color suits you best. Definitely check out their 24 karat gold plated one, which is really nice. And of course, their forged ember color. Now take advantage of this sale once again. Use my direct link in the description box below of this video and take advantage of their Father's Day sale. Thank you again to Ridge for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to the master bath remodel video.
Okay, folks, full sheet laid out. And if you don't have a perfectly square bathroom, totally okay. Let me go ahead and show you what's happening here. So I put it up against the corner, and then this one folds down, and we have at least, we're working on almost a 1/2 inch gap right there. Probably less than 1/2 inch. Anyway, I'm actually gonna go a step further with this waterproofing, and I'm gonna use the Curdy band to go 2 inches on top of this, and then 2 inches up the wall. That's why you see this not waterproof membrane, and this is not tiled. I'm going to tile the floor first and then finish my walls underneath here. So I got the full layout. It's up against the wall right here. I've made some slight cutouts right here. And I'm going to probably cut this back just a hair because I want to go a 1/2 inch in, potentially right there. So I'm not exactly sure quite yet. I need to do some measurements because what I don't want to do is I'm going to have my transition underneath the door. And the door opens up from right here, meaning that the door is on this side right here. And so I don't want to see the transition looking down from the outside, and I don't want to see the transition when I'm right here on this side of the bathroom. So I want that transition just perfectly, probably about a 1/2 inch in or so. And so I'm gonna probably take off a 1/8 of an inch on the edge right here. But see how this is not perfect? That's totally fine. Curdy banding around this right here. And then same thing with this right up against the door sill and wall right here. And then if I didn't make it clear, I bought a 54 square foot tubing, and I think it's literally gonna be perfect. I thought I was gonna have a lot more. We do have several little tied up. Again, I think I should be able to do it. I hope so because it's going to be kind of a pain to purchase. This is the smallest one they have, 54 square feet. I am going to do another tile job in the other bathroom, so I'll probably make it work, but hopefully I'll have enough just for this size bathroom. Okay, and for this seam right here, I will be using Curdy band as well. And watch that. That's going to go down this seam right here, connecting to these pieces going that way like we already talked about, and then I'll do a Curdy band again, 2 inches up the wall, all the way around. That's fairly inexpensive, and that's just a preventative, just in case you do get a leak. It will protect the drywall and cement board from getting ruined later down the road. Make a long story short, my laundry room had a water leak and messed up all the drywall all the way around the laundry room because water hit the bottom drywall. This will prevent it as long as it doesn't go higher than 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these ones after I do this one. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some thin set right now. I'll show you the consistency. What I want to do is I want to have it a little bit more fluid than if I'm tiling thin set, but I still want my trowel lines to go into the thin set. So read the directions on your thin set. Okay, so this is the thin set I am going to be using. This I just picked up at Lowe's. And the one good thing about this is that this is going to be used, this is my puppy here. Be careful with your pets and use a respirator when you do mix this up. Don't want to breathe this in, so I will be using a really nice 3M respirator and mixing it outside as well. So, make a long story short, the consistency I'm going to be mixing this to is going to be a fluid consistency, and I'll show you obviously an example. I don't want it too thick and I don't want it too thin. I want it to hold trowel lines, and this meets the specifications of Schluter. And let me go ahead and show you here. So again, this is a uncoupling membrane mortar. Now, the only problem is with this, I have to use the polymer additive, which I have right behind me here. I'll show you that in just a second. So unfortunately, I can't just mix this up. I have to read the directions and mix in the polymer additive for plywood, cement backer board, which obviously this is not. And so OSB subflooring goes under the plywood category. Now, if it does for some reason, then I'm just adding a little bit extra additive for secureness. And this is it right here. This is also picked up at Lowe's. And so I'll read the directions. This just increases tile bond strengths improves freeze thaw durability, but that is just for attachment for the subflooring to the Schluter Ditra. Okay, and if you don't feel like going on the website or just can't find the information on the packaging of the Schluter Ditra, here are your specifications for plywood OSB over concrete, tiles over Ditra right here. So as we come over here for plywood OSB, we see a Schluter all set. Now, if you have a Floor and Decor or have access to the Schluter products, it might be a little easier because this jug of additive right here was like 30 bucks. And so I think it's actually cheaper at Floor and Decor. There's not one where I am in Colorado. Colorado at the moment, I would have to drive all the way up to Denver. There is going to be one, but I don't think it's, I think it's still under construction. Anyway, so as we see here, all set Schluter fast set or modified thin set mortar, ANSI at A118.11 right here. So we go over here to our bag right here. And as you can see here, industry standards and approvals, this is on the back of the bag. It says exceeds, that one we don't have, but it exceeds the A118.11 bond strength requirements when mixed with MAPI's, if you pronounce it, polymer additive, which is right here. So this mixed with this, and sorry, this is a lot of information, but you can use that. So make the choice. If you don't have a Floor and Decor, then go with this if all you have is the Lowe's around you. Okay, let's mix this up and then I'm gonna show you what trowel I'm gonna be using for the job. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the consistency of the thin set here. You'll notice it kind of drips off a little bit. This is more fluid than tile thin set where you want it a little bit more stickier. We're still gonna be able to get a nice trowel line through that. So that's fantastic. Read your directions. My directions said mix it with the polymer additive, 3 minutes, wait 5 minutes, mix it another minute, and now we're good to go. So now I'm gonna go in there with a damp sponge once again. So very simple to do. I'm using warm water. It is the winter time in Colorado, but it's actually a very nice night. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain all the water out of it and go ahead and wipe up my OSB subflooring. Okay, if you can see this on camera here, I've actually made a pencil line all the way down my subflooring, so I kind of know the edge of the first piece. That way I know not to go too far over with my thin set because I need to obviously measure those things right there. Okay, damp sponge, I'm gonna work my way this way. Let me just show you for the camera. So as you can see here, it's getting it moist, but not soaking wet. And you can see the difference between the dust and the non-dust here and the clean side over here. So let me go ahead and do this all the way down the pipe. Here comes my dog, and be back with you. All right, so the right side is kind of drying out a little bit. No need to if you don't want it to. I just was out grabbing my trowel here. Now, according to the Schluter website, there's a couple different trowels that you can use. I'm using right here. This was just picked up at Lowe's. This is a 1/4 or 1/4 inch by 3/16 inch V notched trowel. There again is 3 different ones. I just chose this one. And if they sell it on Amazon, I'll try to link that in the description box below as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and spread it on with the flat side. Once I spread on a nice even layer, again, we want this level, so don't gunk it up in one area and then thin it out in the other. Do a nice consistent base. Once we have that consistent base, then we're gonna trowel our marks in. Again, if it's too heavy, move it around, re-trowel it. Let's get a nice even consistency base throughout the whole flooring area. And then we'll lay on our piece, which we have rolled up over here in the corner once again. I did have to make a drain tub pipe for my freestanding tub cutout. Utility knife is a little bit easier than scissors regarding making a hole. And if you guys can see it, sometimes it's easier for me to dip in the bucket with a 4-inch putty knife and then put it on my trowel here. And we're gonna go ahead and work this way, and so that we can lean in over here. And just like scrubbing a Navy deck, we're gonna of course work our way backwards. So to be honest with you, sometimes it's easier grabbing your 4-inch putty knife, wiping it in the corners instead of using a trowel if you're not comfortable with one. But then once you get to this area right here, then it's really nice to be able to just go ahead and slip it on down here. So let's go ahead and work it through. And if you are wondering, my furnace is kicked on, so I'll talk a little louder. I did not mix up the whole bag and all of the polymer additive because you don't want that hardening up on you, ruining a bucket, money in thin set. So if I have to make some more up, no harm, no foul. All right, we're all troweled out. nice and firm and flat. We're looking good. I made my lines this direction here, lengthwise, going from the wall this way. Embed my Ditra in there really nicely. And then I'll switch up because the other small pieces will be going this way. I'll switch up and I'll run those lines this way here. Let's go ahead and fold this out, and then I'm gonna grab my wooden float. You can do a rubber float if you want, and we'll go ahead and float this down. Check a corner for coverage. Okay, folks, so what the float does as well, and I actually found it a little bit easier to walk on it first, and then take your float and get in all the corners, making sure you got a nice, good adhering. And what the float does as well is you're getting the air bubbles out, and if there's any lumps, it's flattening it out and pushing it towards the seams. And then go ahead and clean up if it gets too high up here, etc. And you also want to work quickly. I made the mistake of not making enough my first batch, and by the time I went outside and mixed another batch, it kind of frosted over on me and wasn't as sticky as I wanted it to be. So you do need to work quickly. Okay, a couple things. I can step on this part. This part over here is nicely floated down. Now I'm over here on this section, and if you do get it on the walls, we'll need to clean that up before it does dry. And I'm almost done floating this section, and I'm actually getting out some humps, which is really good. So as you can tell, now I'm over here on this side, and this is why you want it a little bit more runnier instead of wall tile. So it kind of, again, not too runny, but it's able to mush out, as you can see right here. So I'll need to clean that up. And what that's doing is that's getting on the back of it and on the flooring, of course, and on this side as well. So now I'm moving in this direction, compressing the notch lines underneath, and I'm moving any lumps over to this side right now. Because what we don't want, any lumps in our floor tiling, it just makes it a cleaner job here. And when I get to the very end here, we'll lift up a corner, check the coverage. You can see below it, you'll see it dark in some places, and some places not as much. And it could be where it's just a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna jump behind the camera, finish this section up, but it's looking really nice. I'm definitely more impressed with it as I'm floating it out. Okay, lift up a corner, see how you look. I'm a little thin over there in that side, so I'm gonna add a little bit more to that corner there. You want a nice full coverage, as you can see right here and here on the back of your membrane. So I'm a little thin right there. So I'm gonna add a little bit more, notch it again, put that down and float it. Once you check, then you wanna float it again. Okay, now before it dries, if you're moving quick and your thin set isn't glazing over or clumping on you, then go ahead and press forward. Mine, unfortunately, is getting a little bit too clumpy. So I'm gonna clean this bucket out and restart with a fresh batch. And so I'm gonna go along this edge right here, clean all that up so it's nice and clean. I'm gonna check my edges over here, make sure that it's not running up the wall too much so I can put my band on later on. And then I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this edge right here as well for my transition strip. All right, ladies and gentlemen, great news. I had enough to do the whole bathroom, and I got like one small sheet left over right here for, again, about a 9 feet 4 inch by about 5 feet 2 inches, 5 feet 3 inches. It covered the whole thing. Let me share some tips with you here. Got late last night, so I just did the one row right here, which actually was very nice because I noticed even putting pressure on my hand, it would like indent a little bit in the mortar. So the best possible way to do it in this case is if you had a bigger area, kind of work your way backwards. It is what it is. Now I have this whole row to work on, reach over to these small little sections. So width-wise, I have one full piece here. I have a line down the center here with a cutout for my toilet flange and for my toilet water intake right there. And then I cut around my vent register, and then around my vanity sink drain and PEX piping, which is right around the corner of the drain pipe there. Now, in regards to all these seams as well as the long one down here, I'm going to be using Schluter Curdy band. This is waterproof banding, and I actually have two of these. These are the 16 foot by 5 inches. So if you fold it in half, you're going to get 2.5 inches going down and then going up the wall. And so again, I should be able to, I might have to buy one more. I'm not exactly sure quite yet, especially with this long one down here. And then I have to do all the seams that way. And then I have to go all the way around the bathroom. That might be a little bit of overkill for you guys. Worst case scenario, I might leave this portion right here without the Curdy band if I don't have to buy another one. We'll get to that when we get to it, but I do want it for behind the sink, up the wall, behind the bathtub, on the side of the bathtub, and I might as well just finish off the whole thing. There will be a shower, but a freestanding tub, so just in case I wouldn't ruin my drywall going into the bedroom. And the reason I like to do it this way is it took a little bit of time to cut around the toilet flange, freestanding tub faucet. And so that is better in this circumstance. So my thin set isn't sitting in a bucket drying out on me. These are perfectly cut. I'm going to take one section at a time and proceed forward. So same method applies. I'm going to lift these up, damp sponge underneath, throw the thin set, trowel it out, put it back on, float it, work my way to the next piece, and then probably do it all and then go back and do the banding just in case there's some sliver of a measurement I need to adjust for some oddball reason. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you my method as I'm doing my seams here with the Curdy band. I've already done all around the edging of the bathroom, all the way around. And if it's hard to get one long piece, then some of these sections, now if you have a shower pan, I would try your best to do one piece. But regarding this is like the wall away from the vanity and super far away from the bathtub. And so I just did like one piece from the corner up here, like a 3-foot stretch, and then edged up the next one to it. And then what I did is I 2-inch gapped another seam over the top of that original seam. That's if you can't run like a super long 10-foot band all the way to the corner perfectly. But if you can, try your best. But this is a great method if you do have a gap in the Curdy band. Anyway, corner is super easy. Just cut the bottom of it, kind of, piece it around, making sure it's a nice straight line there. All the way around my vanity here and then behind me right over here. So regarding this seam right here, and then of course we will be needing this long seam here, as well as this seam here. And then we got just one more seam right here. So what we want to do is, it doesn't matter if you get it over the gap amount, but we want it right in the middle of the seam like this. So make sure you spread your thin set, I'd say even like a 1/4 inch over, and it's okay if you do more. Just make sure you flatten it down so that you don't have lumps, you don't have to deal with that later down the road. So the thin set we're going to use is a different thin set than underneath this from the OSB plywood to the Schluter Ditra. The Curdy band requires, again, a different thin set we're going to go into in just a second. Let me show you the numbers and the labeling. And then that same thin set, which I have in this bucket right here, is going to be the thin set we're going to use underneath these tiles and on top of the Schluter Ditra. So let's go ahead and show you what thin set that is, and then we'll finish up this right here. Okay, so let me show you my thin set here. This is what you want for the Curdy band. You want it loose, not too tight, and you want it to be able to hold a trowel mark as well. So this is a little bit looser than my wall tiling, and it smooths and it goes on just like butter, a little bit thicker than butter. But the good news is it still holds a nice trowel lines in it for when I go to put it on the Schluter Ditra for my tile. So I actually have like a 2.5 inch like drywall knife, and I just found it easier just to do it this way. especially with not going too far. If you have like a 4-inch drywall knife and you're spreading it on, you're gonna get that all the way up. Depends how high your baseboards go. So totally up to you, but I use this and I got it barely up over the edge, maybe like 1/4 inch there, maybe a 1/2 inch there, but I'm gonna be putting 5-inch baseboards right back there behind the toilet. Anyway, back to this. So we're gonna go ahead and spread it on just like, you know, a nice butter spread all the way to this line here. Or actually I can back it up just a little bit more, and because we're gonna have this line going this way. It's okay if you double up, it's super thin. It's not gonna affect your tiling leveling. Okay, then just lay your banding on here and try not to touch this thin set if possible. My hands are already jacked up. I have old man hands, I'm only 40 years old. Just kind of hereditary, that's why they look so worn, but they get even more jacked up and dried out with the thin set, so be careful. So what I do is I kind of just put it down like this, and then it's gonna be kind of hard with the camera in one hand, but hold it like with one hand over here so it doesn't move, and then I'm just gonna carefully do it here so it doesn't move, and then you wanna go ahead and get it matted all the way down nice and flat here, making sure your edges are good to go. Like this has a little bit of a lip up right here, so I'm gonna put some more thin set below that and then mat that down really nicely, making sure your edges are beautiful like this. That's not coming up at all. I like what I'm seeing. Get all the air bubbles out if there are any, and put it on evenly so you don't have these like lumps in it, because that's going to affect the tile if you have these like big lumps. So spread it on like butter, nice and evenly. Let me just show you here. So we're going to go ahead and get a little bit more right there. And then, sorry if the camera was up a little bit too much. So we just put a little bit behind there, and then again, nice and flat. And we are looking good right there. So that is a good looking band right there. Again, we're gonna be doing that right there, long one, and that's pretty much it, guys. And then you can go ahead and set your tiles right away, right over it. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'll finish up my banding, and then we're gonna go ahead and start the hexagon small tiles. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you guys can watch that tile install. Again, we're gonna be using the same thin set, so we're just gonna go right into that. If you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button on your way out, helps the channel and the YouTube algorithm. Also subscribe, like I just mentioned, for the full bathroom remodel. You're not gonna wanna miss it. It's a full house remodel, shop, gym, disc golf course. We're going a little bonkers around here. It's gonna take some time, but we're making solid videos for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Any links in the description box below will be linked there as well. You have a great day. We'll see you on the next one.
Don't let the party stop, guys. Hit one of these videos, continue to watch, and we'll see you soon.